Today is March 9th, 2016, and our story of the San Francisco water begins here. Before the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir, the largest current water source for San Francisco, the city did not have any nearby freshwater streams. Instead, citizens bought water barrels from street vendors during the gold rush in the early 1850s. Water from these vendors came from Sausalito, just north of San Francisco, and were carried from tank steamers across the bay. In 1856, the first small dam in San Francisco was built on Lobos Creek by John Bensley and Anthony Chabot, which diverted water toward the city through a wooden flume. Within 2 years, this water system grew to an output of over 2 million gallons daily to customers, with some of its reservoirs still here today on Russian Hill and Lombard Street. Also, some places in the Presidio still draw water from Lobos Creek to this day. Bensley and Chabot soon lost their company in 1864 due to mud leaching into the flume and illegally stealing its competitors' water in Spring Valley. George Ensign purchased the water in Spring Valley, and a man named Alexander von Schmidt later owned his company. Von Schmidt expanded the company and completed the Laguna Reservoir, which took water from Pilarcitos Creek into San Francisco. This 13-mile pipeline was soon destroyed by the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. After the San Francisco earthquake, the city required a new water system in case another catastrophe occurred. One solution was the creation of the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir in 1923, which now provides water to over 2.6 million residential, commercial, and industrial customers. This reservoir also holds approximately 85% of San Francisco's current water needs, becoming the city's primary water source. Over here shows a photo from the early 1900s depicting the Hetch Hetchy Valley River before the Shaughnessy Dam was constructed. Another view in the 2000s here shows the same view after the construction of the dam, with the valley floor submerged underwater of this reservoir. This water comes from the spring snowmelt runoff from the Tuolumne River. Here shows an image of the Hetch Hetchy water system. Following the right side of the map, the watershed is located in Yosemite National Park. In 1923, the Shaughnessy Dam was built, allowing the valley to become flooded and allowed delivery of water west into San Francisco. This 312 feet tall dam allows the reservoir to hold up to 117 billion gallons of water. The other 15% of the water supply comes from Alameda and San Mateo County Peninsula watersheds. These reservoirs capture rain and local runoff, also storing some of the Hetch Hetchy water. Construction of the O'Shaughnessy Dam did not have everybody's approval. A man named John Muir and his Sierra Club adamantly opposed its construction because of the Hetch Hetchy Valley's beauty. He proposed the valley should be open to recreational use along with the rest of Yosemite Park. Thus, permission from the federal government was needed. After analyzing that this reservoir may prove conservative over time by sustaining natural resources, the Raker Act was passed by President Woodrow Wilson in 1913. The O'Shaughnessy Dam was thus built on the Tuolumne River in 1923, adding to San Francisco's limited water supply through the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir. Recently, water conservation efforts have been implemented by Governor Jerry Brown to save water during the current historic drought. Some examples of wasteful water activities prohibited were using a hose without a shut-off nozzle, washing driveways and sidewalks, and serving water at restaurants without customer requests. Violations of these restrictions could result in fines up to $500 per violation. Initially, a 5% reduction. Updated reports show that compared to 2013, a 10% reduction and a 25% reduction in outdoors landscape watering were achieved. These conservation policies have proved effective. San Francisco alone also uses less than half as much water per person, only 88 gallons per day compared to the statewide average of 192 gallons per day per person. There have always been controversy concerning removal of the O'Shaughnessy Dam, but the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir has certainly benefited the city of San Francisco. Provided by the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir, San Francisco has one of the cleanest and safest tap waters with no contamination. The water is treated and tested more than 100,000 times. Additionally, no expensive filtration system is needed for this high-quality water due to its unique geology. The upper basin consists of mostly granite and thus results in the rivers flowing into the reservoir to have low sedimentation. In 2010, a study by the Recycling Institute showed Americans buy 42.6 billion single-serving plastic water bottles each year. Also, 8 out of 10 water bottles end up in a landfill or incinerator, or end up in streams and beaches, causing taxpayers to pay hundreds of millions of dollars each year in cleanup costs. Not only do water bottles cause more environmental damage, but also pollutants may be missed in the water, as it is less regulated by the FDA compared to tap water. The same EPA standards do not apply to bottled waters, so water companies may be withholding information. In 2014, San Francisco became the first U.S. city to ban the use of single plastic water bottle sales on public property to promote reducing landfill. This promotes the use of metal water bottles and encourages citizens to take advantage of the clean tap water in San Francisco. Since 2010, installing drink tap water stations around the city have become common as well. Not only does the Hetch Hetchy water system provide clean drinking water, the Shaughnessy Dam also provides 1.6 billion kilowatt hours of clean hydroelectric power to keep the Muni, cable cars, and lights running in the city. This hydroelectric power does not emit any greenhouse gas or leave behind any waste. Removal of the dam would cost an estimated $3 to $10 billion. While there are people against removal of the Shaughnessy Dam, some are fighting for it. Advocates that want to remove the dam and restore the Hetch Hetchy Valley to its natural habitat claim that the water from the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir could be stored downriver by expanding the Pedro Reservoir in the Sierra foothills. Another reason was the violation of the Raker Act, which initially only allowed the reservoir to be developed only for public use, not for private profit. This violation of the act occurred shortly after its construction, when San Francisco sold power to Pacific Gas and Electric Company in 1925. In 2012, a measure, Proposition F, if passed, would require San Francisco to study draining the reservoir and shifting water to other storage facilities, but the measure was defeated by a vote of 77% against. To conclude our history of San Francisco's water sources, recent studies have results favoring the possible removal of the Shaughnessy Dam. For example, Yosemite National Park receives about 4 million visitors each year. Removing the dam would provide more recreational space for already scarce campsites and preserve more wildlife. Also, there are 8 other reservoirs, including the Pedro Reservoir, which has already enlarged from 290,000 acre-feet to 2 million acre-feet in 1971, that has plenty of reservoir space to store water. This figure shows the ratio of surface water storage capacity to mean annual flow by watershed. San Francisco, indicated blue, has less surface water storage than mean annual stream flow. This data from the California Data Exchange Center shows that Tuolumne watershed reservoirs also can store 2.77 million acre-feet of water, but only has a mean annual flow of less than 2 million acre-feet. This trend of reservoirs not filling up to its maximum capacity will only get worse as climate becomes warmer. Most reservoirs will become empty for most of the year, waiting for the wet years to occur. Another model, run using dry hydrology and increased population size 3 times of California's current population, shows that Shaughnessy Dam removal would not reduce water scarcity or costs. Good morning, America. Today is March 9th, 2016, and our big story is on the removal of the Shaughnessy Dam yesterday. Water sources will no longer come from Hetch Hetchy Reservoir, and the valley will be allowed to be restored to its natural state. The Hetch Hetchy Reservoir system has shown to be less beneficial due to climate change. Floods have become more common in low coastal areas around San Francisco, and snowmelts have been less predictable. Also, nearby glaciers are melting away, providing even less runoff annually. Modesto and Turlock Irrigation District owns senior rights to the Pedro Reservoir due to prior appropriation doctrine, but has made a deal with San Francisco that will allow the city to create new pipelines to receive water, making this reservoir its primary water source. Recent technological advances have also resulted in groundwater recycling and construction of desalination plants to become less expensive, which are now being implemented this year. That is all the time we have today, folks. Thank you for joining us on Channel 5 News.